Hey boys and girls, I'm going to go ahead and show you where you can find your assignment for lesson 806 for math called Smile and Tile, and we're going to go over how to complete that assignment. To start, you're going to go to your math course. You're going to scroll down to module 8, and we're looking for 806 Smile and Tile. Blank page icon is the lesson. Make sure you go through all pages of this lesson. It's 6 pages long. It's going to go over the different strategies of multiplying fractions and finding the area by multiplying fractions. So I'm going to start by just going to that last page where the lesson is, or where the assignment is. I'm going to click on that assignment. I'm going to just talk you through the assignment and then we'll go and do some examples. So this is, first of all, this is a 2-page assignment. Don't forget to do the second page. Okay. When I was going through the assignment and doing it myself, I accidentally forgot the second page just because it only had one problem on it. So I had to go back and re-look at it. But make sure you do both these pages. Okay. I know that second one just has one problem on it, but make sure you get that one done as well. Okay. So for 1A and B, you are using the square grid to find the area. I'm going to show you how to do that. Number 2, it's a little different. You're using fraction models to solve those two problems, C and D. Number 3, this has that you're finding the area of the rectangle by using the fraction model and using multiplication. And then you're answering this question, what should be true about your answers? And so we'll talk about number 3, but this is one that we'll do together. And then number 4, you have an option here. It says find the area of the rectangle by using either fraction models or multiplication. So number 4, you can use the model or you can just do the multiplication out. Okay, all right, so as I said, we're going to do a couple of these together. I'm going to do 1A, 2C, and number 3. Okay, so I think I can get 1 and 2 on here together. Perfect. Just cut off a little bit. That's okay. All right, so you've got your two problems here, 1A and 2C we're going to do together. So number 1A, you are using the square grid to find the area. So to start off, you're going to look at your first number, which is 4 centimeters. And we are going to start by finding 4. Now this square grid is broken up into 25 pieces. So we're just looking at 4 for our first. So I'm going to start by finding my 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. And I'm just going to box it. Okay. And you can shade it if you want. I'm not going to shade it. Just going to maybe make it a little bit thicker line so you can see that. Okay. All right. So there's my 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this is a little different from using a fraction model. We're using a square grid. So it looks a little different than using a fraction model. But so the first thing we did is we found that 4. Okay. Now we're going to go, and with the 4, we went down. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going down. Okay. Now let me get a different color. Now we're going to go find 1 and 1/4. But instead of going down, we're going to go across. So 1, and then I need a 4th. Oh, okay. A 4th of that next square is going to be little. I would say it's like that much. Okay. And then I'm going to go from my 1 and 1/4. So here's my 1, and then here's my 4th. And I'm going to go down from my 4th and I'm going to drive it down. I know that kind of looks like a half. That's just because it's hard to do this on my computer. And I'm going to just kind of go over. Okay. So now we've got our 4. We've got our 4 going down. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we've got our 1.5 going across. I'm sorry, 1 1/4 going across. Now let's see how much we have total. Let me get a different color here that stands out. We'll do some fuchsia. Okay, so now let's see how many we have total. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. And then these are each a quarter. We've got a quarter here. We have, and let me just do this. We've got a quarter here. We've got a quarter here. And we've got a quarter here. So we have 4 quarters, 4 fourths. So plus 1/4, plus 1/4, plus, 1/4, plus 1/4. Okay, so now let's see how many we have total. Well, 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 4. And then 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is 4 fourths. And really what that means is 4, and 4 fourths we know is equal to 1 whole. So our answer is 5, but, so I'm going to put my answer up here, 5, but we also need to, we've got units here. Units meaning centimeters, meters, feet, inches. These are units. So we need to include our units in our answer. Anytime that you have units with math, you need to include them in your answer as well. So here what we're doing is these are all centimeters. And when you're multiplying centimeters by centimeters, you're going to get centimeters squared. Because really what we're doing is we're doing 4 times 1 1/4, but we're also doing centimeters times centimeters. And when you do centimeters times centimeters, you get centimeters squared. So this is like the math. Centimeters times centimeters is equal to centimeters. And that little exponent 2, we say squared, centimeters squared. So that's our unit. So don't forget to include that unit, okay? So that's number 1A. You're going to do the same thing for 1B, but you've got 2 mixed numbers, but it's the same thing. You're going to use one color to find 3 3/4 going down. You're going to use another color to find 2 1/2 going across. Count all of them together, okay? All right, 2C, we are looking at using fraction models. So this is kind of like what we did in the past lessons last week. We're going to look at finding or creating each of these fractions in the same box. So I'm going to start with 3/8. I'm going to make 3/8 going across. Eighths I know are even, so I start in the middle, and then I need 4 on each side. And I'm making 3/8 horizontally. Okay, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, ooh, that last one's not even close. Let's try there we go. I'll try that again. All right, so there's my 8 pieces, and I need to shade in 3. So I'm doing 3/8 in blue. So 1, 2, 3. So there's 3/8 represented in blue. And now I need 4/5, and we'll make that in red. So going down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we need to shade in 4 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and now, like we learned last week, we need to figure out how many pieces are total and how many are shaded in. So let's see how many are total. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 40 pieces total. So that's going to be our denominator. And let's see what our numerator is. Our numerator is going to be where the 2 colors overlap. So we've got overlapping here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got 12 overlapping, so that's our numerator. Okay, so I know it's hard to see, but with color pencils, it's going to be a lot easier for you to see those two overlapping. Now, this can be reduced as well, boys and girls. 12 and 40, those both can be reduced by dividing the numerator and the denominator by 4. 12 can be divided by 4, and 40 can be divided by 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. 40 divided by 4 is 10. And then we can even check our work by doing the multiplication across. We can do 3/8, and remember we've got units, centimeters, times 4/5 of a centimeter, and multiply across. 3 times 4 is 12. 8 times 5 is 40. And we got the same answer, 12/40. And again, that can be reduced to 3/10. Those are equivalent fractions, and we can't forget our units. All right, we got to make sure that we include those units. Centimeters times centimeters. Remember, we go look up here, centimeters times centimeters is centimeters squared. So our answer, which you put at the bottom here, let me get a color that will stand out. Our answer here would be 12/40 centimeters squared. Or if you'd like, you could even put that it's 3/10. That's just the simplified answer, the simplified fraction. That's fine as well. But if you put 12/40, I'll count that as correct. And then don't forget your units, centimeters squared. All right, so that's 1 and 2. Okay, and then so I'm going to close out this, and I'm going to go screenshot number 3, and we'll do number 3. And number 3 is going to be very similar to number 4, so I wanted to do this as an example for you. We're going to look at number 3. For number 3, we're finding the area of a rectangle by using the fraction model and multiplication. So to start, boys and girls, I'm going to use this rectangle, and I'm going to use this fraction model to represent 2 times 3 3/4. So to start, I'm going to look at my 2 feet, and I'm going to go down. And that's representing our 2 feet. So this would be 1 foot. This would be 2 feet total. Okay, so we've got 1 foot and 1 foot. I'm going to erase those so we don't get confused though. Okay, and now I'm going to represent 3 3/4 going across. So 3 3/4, we're going to have 3 holes going down, or 3 pieces going down, but we're going to need that a 4th piece to represent that 3/4. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So that's going to be 1. That's going to be 2. That's 3. And then we need 3/4 of this next one, because we're representing 3 3/4. So I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way down, and that's going to be 3/4. So we're not using, get the black, we're not using this. Okay, so we've got our 2 across, and then our 3 3/4 going down. So let's count what we've got total here. We've got 1, 2, actually let's not use, well, we could count it like that. 1, 2, 3 holes, 4 holes, 5 holes, 6 holes, and then this is 3/4 and 3/4. So now we've got 6 holes. We've got 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. And we could do that math over here. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's representing this part right here. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 total pieces. So that's 6 plus 3/4 plus 3/4. So we've got 6, and then 3/4 plus 3/4. Our denominators are the same, so we can add the numerators, which would be 6/4. Now 6/4 is an improper fraction, so we would have to do that division. 6 divided by 4 You get 1. 6 goes into 4. I'm sorry, 4 goes into 6 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract, you get 2. There's nothing else to bring down. So we take our remainder, drive it up over our divisor, and we get 1 2/4. So now really what we're doing is 6 plus 1 2/4, which is equal to 7 2/4, which is also can be reduced to 7.5. But if you kept your answer at 7 2/4, that's fine. And we can't forget our units. Here we're doing feet, and it's the same thing as centimeters times centimeters. Feet times feet is equal to feet squared. So our answer is 7 2/4 feet squared, or 7.5 feet squared. Okay, so, but we also need to, if we're looking at that and we need to solve it using multiplication. So here we did it using the area model. Now let's do it using the multiplication strategy. So we're doing 2 times 3 3/4. Last week we covered how to multiply a whole number by a mixed number. First step is to multiply our whole numbers. 2 times 3, you get 6. Then we multiply our whole number by our fraction. 2 times 3/4. Well, in order to multiply a whole number by a fraction, we can make this whole number a fraction by putting a 1 under it. 2 over 1 is the same as 2 wholes. When you put a 1 underneath a number, so you've got a whole number, or you've got 2 as your numerator and 1 as your denominator, it's really a representation of 1 or 2 wholes. Then you can multiply across. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 4 is 4. Okay, then you take these two answers that we've circled and you add them together. 6 plus 6/4. Well, we know that 6/4, we did the math over here. 6/4 is equal to 1 2/4. So really we're doing 6 plus 1 2/4, which we know is equal to 7 2/4, which can be reduced to 7 1/2 feet squared. We can't forget our units. Okay, and did we get, oops, sorry about that. Did we get the same answer? We sure did. Let me just fix that squared. There's our final answer. They match. They're the same. So then here's our question. What should be true about your answers? Well, when you do the fraction model and you do the multiplication out, the answer should be the same. That's what's true about them. So I even gave you the answer to that short answer. What should be true about your answers? Both the answers from the fraction model and the multiplication should be the same. Again, I'll say that one more time because that's the answer to the short answer question. What should be true about your answers? Both answers from the fraction model and using multiplication should be the same. Okay? All right, so then you're doing number 4, which is the same thing, but you can either do the fraction model or the multiplication. You just need to have that answer. Don't forget to have your units of centimeters squared in your answer. When you're done, boys and girls, you'll come to the submission page and you'll click on that blue plus mark and submit your work.